So call to order.
I got overexcited.
Understood. Thank you for
Well,
pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag and of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, Christie.
President Everard.
Present.
President Wazorek.
Here.
Treasurer Zimmerman.
Present.
Secretary Zeller. Here. Trustee Brady. Here. Trustee Leahy.
yes.
Trustee Zurich.
Here. All right, great. Before we begin, are there any public comments? Amelia, anybody on the line?
Amelia's not here, but I do not see anybody.
All right. Thank you very much. We'll move on. Presentations. John? You're up.
All right, let's see. Big news this week on the plan, or the comp plan is, that they did reach the statistically valid number, a couple of days ago. And they are leaving it open through the weekend, and on Monday, we will then pull the trigger and send that survey out to everybody. Or send it out there. We're going to push it out through social media. You know, I don't know their ads. I don't know how Caitlin is going to get it out there, but she's going to work her magic to get it out there. But we're going to leave it through the weekend that way, figuring that there'll be a little bit more information coming back. I think the last time I reported this was a little bit of a lull while we were waiting for this information to come in. And I was just looking at an email there before I got up. And I think that lull is over. They are now sending through to us, the staff committee, to review inventory sheets. So basically our sites and what is the inventory and what is this information. I think the building inventory is going to be coming after that. So we're going to have to start really digging into those, reviewing those, and kind of looking at them with a fine-tooth comb. Do they have the right terminology, etc., and the right information in there? So that is going to, I think we're going to start seeing that amp up here. We also have been working with them to schedule out the rest of the summer and into the fall. We have a tentative date set for an open house. We're going to reveal that until we get it nailed down. But it would be in November, a third open house where they would share out with the public. We also are looking at either July or August coming and having them come to the board and present, the preliminary findings. We think it will be in July, but a lot of it was hinging on the conclusion of the survey. So we'll get another chance to look at that next week and have that nailed down. So hopefully we'll be back in July with, Michelle will be back with the team and talk a little bit about, here are the survey results, here's what we're finding, here's what we're seeing, and here's where we're heading. It is, I think I reported, I thought that we might have a little bit behind, maybe a couple of weeks, probably what is accurate. We're just a couple of weeks behind, but I'm telling you, if you listen to people that do long range planning like they do, they say, "Hey, this is awesome to be this far along, and this close to what we had targeted. We're still on target." So, that's the great news. We did finish last week at Hooked on Fishing. We finished the last of the pop-up events. One of the Upland team members was there. Jessica is her name. We're walking around and engaging with people and talking, getting them to scan the survey tool and whatnot so that they can start doing that. So she had touch base with a lot of people. It was a nice interface of direct contact with people. So that is that really is concluded that part. The survey really is the last big push for public input. That is, and again, we're going to leave that open for a month. So that's really the last big push of that. And then it's, they're going to move right into visioning. And I believe they're going to be back. We're thinking in August, coming back and visioning with you folks to start thinking about what does this thing look like. So gathering information, gathering all the data, beginning to analyze all of that, and they've been analyzing all that data. Now they're moving, into what is this thing going to look like? Report to you what they found, and move on to what it is that this place is, what are they recommending? We got a little taste of that. The steering committee did with, Better, does the economic analysis. We got some of that preliminary information in and a look at it. So it was kind of exciting to see again. I guess we're starting to see this thing come together, and now need to come back and have a conversation about this is what we found. Where do you want to take it? I think that's it in a nutshell. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, John, one question with the survey. So you said they got the 500, they got the statistically valid sample size and ranges. But then you said we're going to send out survey additional
To the public. We're going to open it up to the public and say, okay, community, what do you feel? Okay,
But will the two survey results be kept separate?
perfect.
Okay, that's
So, well, yeah, one is independent of the other.
Okay.
So now, what the hope is that they will mirror one another. That's what the hope is. But that may or may not be the case, because in the second phase of this, you could go out and get all of your friends that like riding, motorcycles, saying, hey, we want motorcycle tracks in the conservation district, and you could see that number spike up. Probably wouldn't happen, but that is there. Yeah. So they'll close one, seal it, open it up for the public.
Any other questions? All right, well, thanks for driving the process, Tom.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jess.
On to new business. So let's take a look at the regular agenda item, hopefully the agenda for Thursday. Everybody's had a chance to take a look at that. Are there any items that questions on or want to have removed?
I had, was it the change order? I had sent- Yeah, the wayfinding. I had sent just to the board. I had just sent a request to Elizabeth. Just about the change order 2, just because I just kind of noticed that within a few months, we've already got a second change order, and they're pretty large dollar amounts. So I didn't know if we wanted to add discussion next week about that to see, what we think the future of change orders may be, if we have any idea, or, because the cost will continue. I'm worried about ballooning out of control. So
Yes,
I
so
wanted to get your thoughts, the rest of you.
I think it's good to understand what's causing that, if it's a supply kind of issue with our country in general, or
Okay.
what's, where it's coming from.
Or is it additional work still?
Yes, so last month we did discuss the change order 1, and that was specific, and Amy's here and she can help lead, and Shauna's not, but the foundation as well. So the first change order, the wayfinding signage, and then if I don't get it right, you guys, but I'll take it to start here. So the change order, it was a grant that we received in collaboration. We're working with Division of Transportation as well as National McHenry County on funding for the wayfinding signage project, which is going very well. Guide Studio was the firm that was selected. The change order last month, obviously with the grant, we realized that we could have an opportunity while they were there, since we were doing very well with the grant funds that were available, to tap in to do with the foundation for donor signage along the trail. That was something else as far as that. So that was added, that's a change in scope, and that was at our request. So that was change order 1. Change order 2 is now related to the map. And it's again, another opportunity, not in the original scope, but as you're working through, now would be the time to take advantage of the funding of the grant opportunity to get the shared support to add this new amenity into it. So it's not like anything's going sideways or not performance. This is a request. Staff feels this would be appropriate this time to take advantage of the grant to have this additional scope of work added while they're here at the table. Did I capture that right?
You did great. And the only thing that I want to add is we are still under budget. And so I don't believe, again, I don't want to knock on something, but I didn't see anything or coming to an end. This bill, just the tentative deadline is December. for everything to be finished up. So I don't foresee anything additionally, but yes, we are still under budget by about $60,000.
Okay, that's good.
The change order should always be looked at, no matter, if it comes to the board.
Thank you.
No, thanks for bringing it up.
Yep.
Any other agenda items that you have any questions or comments on? Staff will remove?
I think
If
you
not,
saw just for highlight, I mean, again, a lot of things are moving through with fitting, the first reading, which we shared of the, eco and the land valuation. So again, any comments, substantial, otherwise we move this forward and we hope to bring that back in July for, approval. And we also then have on the, School Springs stream mitigation, modifying the pricing. You probably saw that. That's up here. We did get final sign off on additional credits. So we're fully 100% now of everything to us to be able. So great job by our team there. Actually, they were complimented that this was the best project and just the work that they've done. So kudos to them on their work and making it easy to work with the different agencies involved. So that's in front of you. And then we'll talk about the budget timeline. I have as a separate item.
to me, the item that caught my eye and don't have any questions on it was the wetland mitigation, the 143,000 per acre.
That's the recommendation based on just inflation from the last time that the board updated the pricing schedule. January 23.
Okay.
So I worked with Andy and Val and the mitigation team, and that was the recommendation for the board. So those two figures, I think it's 140 and 90 is that the other figure for the frame, whatever it is, it's based on inflation.
Okay, that's what caught my eye. No questions about it. It looks good. And then adjusted for inflation,
Yes.
said so.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Any other questions or comments? If not, the agenda will stand as printed. My executive director's report. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Pardon.
Yeah.
Health insurance conversion.
So last month, we brought to you, obviously knowing that the rising costs and the initial rates from IBBC, which is part of the cooperative that we participate in, like the county and other units of local government. And we don't have anything yet back, Andy, nothing's come back, you didn't provide me today, so we're still waiting on a potential, some options of changing our current offerings, as far as the packages. So as soon as we have that, but I wanted to leave it on the agenda, just so that we move on it. July is the date, end of July, that we'll need to have everything back to IBBC and final, we hope to have those potential items. So maybe I'll have something for next Tuesday. If so, we'll share that then. But, and we'll see where it's at, but we're not looking to move away from IBPC here for this year. It's important that we stay the course. It's just, we're looking at ways to mitigate the increasing costs of the insurance.
So I'm sorry, Bonnie, go ahead.
No, there was a question I didn't ask last time of Andy, I guess. So, what are they saying is the cause of the increase? Because I just had my umbrella doubled because it was litigation in Illinois. So what are they saying?
The GLP drugs are a big part of it. That's,
Oh,
and those
okay.
costs will be coming down, but I know that,
I said,
Andy, go ahead, you want to?
Well, GLP-1 is a big one, but pharmaceuticals in general is another big one. They're using an industry trend about 11%. So they're saying the industry in general between pharmaceuticals and inflation, and that's pretty common to see. Like I've seen it as low as 10, but I've seen as high as 13 and 14. They use the projected industry trend. And if you weren't here, Bonnie, I put together information where I looked at what did the district pay in premiums to IPVC since we've been with them?
oh, yeah.
And what have they paid out in claims? And they paid out, I think it was $400,000 more in claims for the district than money we gave them. So the district is upside down. They managed that through the pool for the first few years, as they're, trying to get everything out. But now they're seeing, a whole bunch of members. It's not just us. Something like 40% of the membership is seeing 18+% increases.
So it's claims as well.
So it's kind of catching up. We've got that 11-12% industry trend, and the district needs to catch up. If we had not been with IPVC, I can guarantee you, we have been looking at double digits every single year with that kind of claims. We've had some very high claims every year.
So I think, the choice we're going to be left with is do we just pass the costs on and keep the ratios the same so that the employee cost and the employer cost go up the same or proportionally? Or do we make some adjustment in copay deductibles or something like that? If we're gonna do something, we have to do it soon because they gotta get it ready. First of all, they gotta get quoted. We have to get ready for open enrollment and get all the materials ready and all that. So it's a big process we're gonna change. I think the way we left it last time was let's just do it proportional, take the costs and split it proportionally. If it's 80-20, whatever the costs are, cost share would stay the same, no change in deductibles or copays. I think that's where we landed, but it's still open for discussion and we'll get additional information here on Thursday.
Yeah, and I think the things we'll be looking at, they're not gonna be huge reductions, they're gonna be small
Tweaks.
Yeah. We'll see, I mean, I don't see what the quotes we won't.
A couple interesting things about the GLPs is there's some thought that it'll help bring costs down because it seems to be helping, diabetes, high blood pressure, a number of other maladies that seem to be improved by the GLP-1. So Medicare starting July, the copay is going to be $50. It's $850 right now. So, that's people saying, hey, this should pay off in the long run. So we'll see. So I think those GLP costs will begin to come down, or we'll see savings elsewhere as a result of it. But it remains to be seen, and nothing's going to help us this year. We're just going to take that was a 14% increase and say thank you. May have another 24. 20. 14 would be better. 14 last.
Big.
All right. And the budget timeline.
Yes.
Have a chance to.
So we did add this, and so thank you, Andy, for putting this together. Basically wanted to highlight some of the critical steps that you'll have forthcoming, and just to ensure that we got some dates that are really important, that we have board attendance, otherwise we have to modify so we can hit the track, because we have to hit the target. So you're gonna see when we come back in August, obviously some beginning of capital planning that we'll be sharing with you on some assumptions also that we believe are important for the board to consider. And then what we'll do in August with that presentation is you'll kind of help set those parameters so that we can direct the staff to start building the budget. In September, we have our levy. That's our annual levy process. And so that'll be in front of you. So we'll be talking about that, exactly what that will look like based on what we anticipate those assumptions are in August. And then in November, we will be back in front of you with putting what we've received from the staff, how it aligns with those initial assumptions, and you'll get a first blush of giving us feedback and guidance. We'll take it back in, and then in January, which this year, the January meeting, remember November, December, we move up. We've already done that for this schedule to avoid the holidays, so they're not the typical, third Thursday and Tuesday. They're off 1 week, but we've accommodated for that. That January meeting is when the tentative budget, the board will approve. So we've got that meeting happening on the 19th. That's the regular meeting, and then the week before, and then we'll have an opportunity. We have to have the 30-day window for the public to review the budget, provide comment, and then we'll hold a public hearing at the February meeting, which is, and we'll publish all of that out there. We'll do a public hearing at the COW on the 18th of February, and then the board will approve the final budget on the 23rd. And then we head over to the county. I know the county dates are not yet set yet because they'll go through that process, but we anticipate that to be by the first week. Usually it starts rolling through planning and development, then on to finance and audit, and then on to the regular board. But that's the schedule. So just again, the critical dates, you've got that September levy for that September meeting. Obviously, August is going to be an important workshop meeting. The January meeting to approve the tentative 30-day wait, the public hearing, and the final.
In 27 was abated. We're looking at 28, so there would be an opportunity for the increase.
Correct. We would be taking the operating levy without an abatement. That's the whole plan. We've done the abatement to pay off the debt service. And debt service payoff, Andy, will be?
Well, the last levy was 25, so the debt's paid off. Basically the spring of December was the last payment, 127. But just to remember, the abatement was only on the debt service side. So we've been taking the full operational levy for the last 2 years. But then we abate the debt service and take some of that operational levy and pay the debt down a little bit. That's 3.8. So there's really no change in operational levy. It just rolls forward like the last 3 years. It'll grow about a little less than 4% of inflation. It'll be the first time we don't have to take 3.6 million of it to pay that service. That'll be able to stay in our operation fund. All the things we need to do.
So you'll see on the capital budget and the direction that we'll be providing is, and again, in alignment with the 2040 plan. Obviously, that will not be approved by the time we're moving the budget, so there may be a placeholder. We'll have discussion of, so we know what those decisions are, but we still have our deferred maintenance and knowing what those projects are, vehicle replacements, et cetera, that have been deferred, that you will see a capital. So we're going to ask the leadership team with their departments, that they span the net, they identify all the items, and then we'll begin to prioritize. But we'll have a good handle on, not just wish, these are needs that have been deferred, but we'll have all that together.
There's a good possibility of be missing the 20th August.
The August, you'll miss the discussion.
All right. Elizabeth, Executive Director.
All right, I do hear and a few things. So again, I want to thank our clock builders and our 2 designated trustees that have joined to make the full 12 hands on the clock here. They participated. And they started in with our legal review. We had our second meeting of the clock builders here, and we're doing well. There's a lot of work that you're going to see that'll come forward. We're really in good shape. It's a great process. There will be some additional policies we've identified that we will be bringing forward. You'll see that so that they can match up with the comprehensive policy and the personnel policy later this fall. And then we look to have this in really good shape so we can invite the accreditation team out for a spring visit. So I don't know if Heather, you sat in on the meetings and if that anything that you wish to share, Nora?
It's extremely thorough and that everyone is already so on top of it. Very impressive.
And we had noted one, it was interesting, we're going to go through your checklist and we're trying to identify now exactly, we're going back multiple years, everything's in place. I think there's certain areas that we're doing a lot of things, but it's how we document that we're doing, like training, and things are like scattered in different departments and trying to get a handle on, here's our list of all of that. So it's those refined pieces that will only make us stronger, but it's part of the process.
Yeah, and I think
ISO certification.
I think like the end product's gonna be amazing, the certification for the district.
Yeah, in industry, it's called ISO. You said all that, make sure you got everything documented and you pull it off the shelf and there's how to do everything.
Okay.
And follow it. Yeah, then there's that, yes.
Yeah, and are you following what you say and what's there and things, so they will do science.
Sigma.
Yeah. Go, Nora.
So yeah, I appreciate them leaning in and the group that we've got doing it. It's a cross-divisional team, but again, it's part of that building, the clock builders, so we're set up for success. The other piece I wanted to update with the board here is another project I did send out to the board was the web content accessibility guidelines that's required for compliance. They did extend that 1 more year because we thought we were going to need to be ready to go by February, right? It was up 2027, but they moved it out until the following year. So Caitlin, who was on board, she's our website knowledge, did a lot of research. We were ahead of the curve. Actually, I will share, we had an early meeting over a year ago with our attorney saying, is there any guidance on this? We see this happening. And so we were out in front again. Caitlin's leading it. And so what we're doing here so that we are in compliance, and it's a big project. If you look at our website, we are very proud of being very transparent, and there's a lot of efficiencies and effectiveness by having a lot of information out for the public to see. However, this accessibility content, and we have to do things a little bit differently in order to get things uploaded. So how we would normally do a PDF or doing things that we share on our resolutions, ordinances, all the support documentation that we provide out there. you have to do a lot of extra steps to get it to be compliant. And this is an unfunded mandate, it's an unfunded task that our team needs to do. And so it's a balance between, one of the conversations early on is we can be compliant, remove everything from the website that we have up there, then is that really being transparent? But yet the time and effort to lean into that. So we did give guidance that we can archive or list as archiving stuff that's already there, as long as we don't touch it and move it and are using it as a modification. So we've got that. The other area that we're leaning in to do, and I think this is where I'll lean into our accreditation standard team and the board, but we have a lot of stuff for years that we provide up on the website. So what is that right level of how much information do we want to have out from our public meetings? We know we're required to keep them. That's not the issue. How much needs to be out available for the public to search on their own? And at this point, when we put resolutions and ordinances that the board pass, you'll note if you go on there to search under the transparency portal, we also put the final executable document of a contract with the resolution and ordinance. It makes it easy to find, but that document that supports it. So it's easy for us to modify, for example, the resolution and have a standard set that can be consistent. All the other supporting documents that go along with it, that's a whole other animal. So our suggestion as we go through this process is that we'll put the resolution. The supporting documentation will not go from that point forward to be accessible, and then they can be FOIA'd, and we'll see where that goes. Again, it's a major undertaking, but I just want to let the board know we're in good hands. The staff is doing a training with UIC, so we can learn how to upload and modify these documents, so it's not just in the hands of Christy or Caitlin. Right? We need to teach everybody to fish, so we can stay on top of this project because it's not going away. And is there any questions? Caitlin, anything else?
No, you did a great summary, but yeah, if there's any questions, let us know.
So that's another major work stream that's happening this year with the Forward to 2040, with the accreditation, with all the things. So it's just and our daytime job. So yeah. And let's see, I think that was,
Oh, that's a very important topic.
very important topic here. Okay, so we had the McHenry County Council of Golf outing here, and here is the team that led the way. Okay, I will say they were doing phenomenally, and they were taking it there. We were on one hole, I don't know which one this was, and Paul was up and did great. Lloyd here and Ron kind of supervising on the golf cart, and it was just a great day. But I will say my piece of this, and we were in the cart, was this part. This is where I go golf.
Oh.
So you see how golfing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Steve Paul, was this a great appointment for you?
It was great.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed it. Things like that just happened. It was, yeah, we had a great time.
Okay, the really cool part, 15th hole or whatever it was, a long par 5. It's like 590 yards long. And they had an air cannon, like they used the Bulls game where they shoot
T-shirt.
t-shirts, they launch them up. Well, you could have one of those, you put the golf ball in it, and you shoot the golf ball, and I mean, it's going 400 yards.
Yeah.
That was fun.
It was a good day, and great to out there again, to network with all the other elected officials to go there. And it's one of the fundraisers for McCog that they do to do all the great things that they support us with. And then lastly, the Hike with Mike. This was the Bison Tour out on the site, and this has been a wonderful program. And we would do this with all of our elected officials. We do this with our Congress people. We do this with our state legislators. One of the big things with advocacy is getting them out to our sites, making sure that they understand what we do. And it's been great. And with the sites or the trails less traveled this year, we did one, right, Foxglove. This is the second one. We've had new audiences, new individuals that have not participated in the programs before, really interested in what the district is doing. So staff's done a great job. So I just want to highlight really the importance, if you get a chance to come on out. We have another, we're working with Representative Ness to visit the Lake in the Hills Fen. That's up and coming. And so working with the village with that and the Illinois Environmental Council. So we'll continue when we have these opportunities. It's just a great way to outreach. And then we'll also be working on scheduling, usually in the summer to the fall. We've normally had a meet and greet with the county board and us. We're gonna delay it. The proposal that I'm gonna suggest is we look to the winter months of January or February. Maybe we do an internal coffee or a lunch, a breakfast or a lunch. We'll have the 2040 plan kind of in a good place, and we'll have new members, through after the elections to introduce them and kind of use that time. I think that's a better timing for us to facilitate, to bring those things together.
Very good.
And then we will have another joint meeting at some point, I'll send out the dates. Sean and I were talking for either the August or September meeting to join up with the foundation, since you've been working on the donor journals.
So that'd be a good one, because that's when the lady from Jolene from the museum is coming in August. So that would be good to have it at the joint meeting. Good.
Absolutely. And then the last, with the foundation, the district, we did receive funding from the Community Foundation for McHenry County. They have their grants and scholarship celebration on June 25th. Our board liaison to the foundation, Trustee McAdam-Brady, is going to join Shauna for that. Received $20,000 to go towards the district's efforts, and so that was great to have funding received from them, and to receive that.
All right. Very much. Trustee report. Anyone have anything to report?
Well, we went to Green Drinks.
We did.
I
listened in. Yeah, it was very informative.
Yeah, that guy, I mean, he really packs it in. So the speaker was the county hydrologist, I think is his title, water expert, and his topic was the water usage by data centers. And it was incredible. They had like 12 billion gallons nationwide, and just, even when they say they return it, it's only still a 30% loss. So plus temperature changes and all that. It was well attended, standing room crowd, and very well attended. A lot of people had questions afterwards. So it was a good presentation. If that guy, he speaks quite often. If you get a chance to see him, he's definitely worth the trip. Any others?
You did them also.
I did. So the Hack'em attack, we did a muscle thing, and they had somebody was supposed to come from the Shed Aquarium, and that person had surgery and couldn't make it, but they had somebody pinch hit, and they were pretty good, knowledgeable about mussels. So there are 40 species of mussels in the state of Illinois. Wow, indigenous, and now some invasive species as well. But anyway, we were at the Nipper Sink in Richmond, and essentially at the canoe launch site. And she talked about it, had different shells and samples and stuff. She talked about how they used to make buttons out of the clam shells here, and that really put the dent in the population. They actually had sample of buttons that they used to just. In fact, you can still find sometimes the shell with these circles punched out of it. They made buttons out of it in the open. Anyway, so that really decimated that, plus damming and other things that have been done to the rivers, the silt and all that. They really are in tough shape. A lot of them are not endangered, but whatever. Zach, what is it? What's next to endangered? Just threatened. They're threatened species. So, in any event, she said, in spite of all that, there's mussels here, and she welcomed people to go into the river, and most of the people that I had. They found mussels right away. I stayed and watched, and they were pulling them out left and right. We're there at the canoe launch. So what they're doing, and we're participating in it. They have, I think it's 5 locations on the Nipper Sink that they check every year, and they do a population, so they know exactly where it is, and then they count, and then they track how many. And surprisingly, in one of the cases, the mussels migrated just a little bit south. It's like they didn't like something that was in that area, and they just, they literally, as a colony, have moved just a little bit south of that. Yeah. So anyway, it was pretty interesting. Lastly, Kishwaukee Brewery, I did get to talk with Dan, and he won't be participating in the beer trail. It's too late for him to develop anything between now and September, but he did say he would bring a special keg for us for that event. I'm thinking he's probably going to bring that Buffalohead, which, by the way, was named the #1 beer in the world. Right here in Kishwaukee. Yeah, right. Kishwaukee Brewery in McHenry County. just outside of Woodstock. He won that, he got that same beer, it's called Bufflehead. And by the way, if you remember about 2 years ago, he had a beer, it still makes it, I can't remember its name. They're all named for birds. I can't remember which particular that one is. But for a 30-day period, $1 from every beer sold of that brand came back to us as a donation. So he's been a really good supporter of us. So he'll be there at the beer trail again, and I think he's going to bring Bufflehead. So I mean, that's what I would expect. But anyway, he'll be participating. He's just the email hasn't gone out, the invitation.
Okay.
But he'll sign up for it. That's all I have. All right. Kevin. We are honored to have Kevin here, the president of the McHenry County Foundation. Thank you much for being here.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, everyone. This is great to meet you. An honor as always. Listen, thanks for the opportunity. Very briefly, I just want to say we had the great luck to get to Yellowstone a few weeks ago as a family. And we had a wonderful time, a few days there, a few days in the Tetons. And there were two things that were inspiring me in particular about that. One of them was they talked about, there was a book we found in the visitor center, talked about how private philanthropy really helped that area in particular. John D. Rockefeller Jr., over 33,000 acres deeded to the federal government since 1949. So inspiring to me in the sense of, for the foundation, our continued pursuits in terms of private philanthropy, support of the district, and public open states. The other piece was a little anecdote with my daughter, 12 years old, and she was adamant to have a ranger go to one of these ranger talks, and we waited, realized we were at the wrong spots. This isn't the Grand Canyon of Yellowstone, so we get to this other overlook for this point. About 15 people there, and there's a storm moving in. So he starts to talk a little bit, very quick icebreaker, and he says, where are you from? Where do you live? And she mentioned, well, I live on a national wildlife. And he kind of wheels are turning. Oh, I'm thinking to myself, that's exactly the case. Parts of our county here are designated. And so he said, do you work there? And looking at me, and I said, no, we just live there. And so afterwards we talked to him a bit, but it really brought to mind another piece. For all of us in this county, in this area, we're called to work there. And I think that's a message that we share with the people that we meet who aren't here today, right? Who aren't part of the choir yet. So at any rate, all good and great to be here. Our fiscal year as a foundation to June 30th. So we're just under about 2 weeks left. And talking with Shauna today, we're 96% to plan when it comes to individual donations. And with the pollinator matching program we're going to launch on Monday, we think we're going to get it. So spread the word. I'm sure it'll be on social media and things. I know we're there. We've knocked it out of the park on the foundation on the grant side, and we're just a little short on the corporate side. But looking good on that budget on the income overall. And on that note, on the corporate side, Shauna had a meeting with Snap-on Tools, the Lake office, about a month ago. And some fruit from that already that they were interested in coming on out to Prairie View, maybe with a group, to do some work there. So just to enhance and build some of the local corporate citizens here in the county. We're working hard on our donor journey experiences. And thanks so much to so many of us in this room, all for your participation in the retreats and things last year. So we're getting this thing going, as you know, some programs in concert with district staff and site already underway. Thanks, Caitlin, for your coordination in part two. As Shauna was out of town, we've been making over 100 calls as board directors to supporters of the district. And, you've got your share of voicemails. Calls sometimes you get those, but you also get your share of real conversation. And sometimes we know, sometimes we don't know who they are. But those connections that we have made, again, just over the phone, very rewarding. And they should be affirming to all of you in this room too, about the work of the district and the good mission and support that people want to continue to provide. So we're continuing to move forward with that. I also wanted to mention, just in terms of our overall organization, our executive committee, we were talking a little bit about how we do as a board, right? We're trying to keep accessibility going in terms of new board members, new faces and things. Do we meet enough? Are we meeting too much? And we felt we're doing okay. We actually, just so you're aware too, have 4 committees. We have a board development, a donor development, a finance, and an executive. So we've really tried to streamline our processes, keep taking steps forward. And we find that by working in smaller committee groups and then coming back to our overall board as a whole, we're making good strides. We're continuing to move forward. So we're looking forward to doing that here in the months ahead of 2026. And then one other piece, and I'll finish with this, is just we have our strategic plan. It's a 3-year plan, and it's finishing up in our fiscal year 27, which for us is June 30th. So a year away. Talking about maybe just kind of soft extending that a bit, and we'll have to talk more. We've got joint meeting opportunities coming up, but maybe there's some ways we can collaborate and sync up a bit more as the district works its next strategic plan, which I think is up in fiscal year 28. So lots more. At any rate, great to be with you all. Thanks so much for the continued support. And looking forward to getting together as a whole, 2 boards, later than summer.
Thanks, Kevin, and for being here. Thanks for all the foundation does, and I think this is a great idea, having somebody from your committee here each month to share that.
Thank you guys so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin.
Heather, you're being easy.
No, he took all my talking points for Tuesday, and I'm glad about it.
All right, any other board business before we ask for public comments? All right, are there any public comments? Christy, anybody on the phone? All right. With that, I will ask us to go into executive session. We need a motion to go into executive session pursuant to 2C1, personnel, collective bargaining, purchase of land or real property, and 2C21, review of closed session minutes of the open meetings act.
Make a motion.
Okay, moved by Mike.
I'll second.
Second by Ron.
Treasurer Zimmerman,
Yes.
Secretary Zeller,
Yes.
Trustee Brady,
Yes.
Trustee Zurich,
Yes.
Vice President Wazorek,
Yes.
Trustee Leahy,
Yes.
President Everard.
Yes. Nice.
Okay, and tonight, for those that are at home, there is no action out of executive session this evening, and we'll be back on Tuesday evening at 5 p.m. Thank you.
Coming to order, following executive session back in regular meeting. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Roll call.
Roll call.
Don't mean to jump the gun.
I know we want to leave, but President Everard,
Here.
Vice President Wazorek,
Here.
Treasurer Zimmerman,
Present.
Secretary Zeller, here, Trustee Brady, here, Trustee Leahy,
Yes.
Trustee Zurich.
Here.
Right. We're all here.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Sean.
I'll second it.
Moving to second, all in favor, say aye. Aye. We're adjourned.